Wakalani of Hawaii ruled in Honolulu, destined to become American territory. For Hawaii requested to be taken under the American flag. The American Navy took control. Governor Dole, the gentleman with the spade beard, was the first American ruler of Hawaii.
The Queen was dispossessed not only of her power and her rule, but the Queen was also dispossessed of her lands. This is what those Haole residents were really after all along, control of the land, specifically the Crown lands. And so those lands were seized. When the Republic was annexed by the United States, they ceded those Crown lands to the federal government.
As you heard, under the Organic Act, 1 3/4 million acres of land were to be set aside for the beneficial use of the Kanaka Maoli. Immediately after the annexation, the lands began to disappear, gone to military bases, to plantations, to harbors, ports, and airports, without any benefit to the Kanaka Maoli.
In 1898, with annexation, the Crown lands were seized by businessmen and lawyers who sold the land of Ola'a to themselves and other investors. Thousands of acres of the sacred Aina of Ola'a, Crown lands, was cleared for the growing of sugar cane.
We have this system that goes up to Waialeale. All of these lands, the golf course lands, that is all Crown and ceded lands. That is Hawaiian lands. The lands that stretch over, that goes to Koke'e, that incorporates the whole Napali coastline, that is all Crown and ceded lands. Lands that stretch out into Hanalei Valley, that is all Crown and ceded lands. Kauai has one of the greatest land base that are recognized as the Crown and ceded lands, Hawaiian lands.
These lands, they're now all ceded lands. They're stolen lands.
The native Hawaiian who now go to the mountains or the ocean to gather food, practice their religion or their culture, are finding that the fences are up. The security guards roam these lands and the no trespassing signs stop them.
That you no longer can access the beach. You no longer have permission to access the water. You no longer have permission, and you are breaking the law, arrested, and taken off into a court of law that is very foreign and strange.
Let us assume that the federal government passed a law specifically extinguishing native title in Hawaii. Would that law passed by the Senate and House, in your view, extinguish the inherent right of your people to their land?
No, it would not. It would not. A dispossession means Hawaiians cannot live on their land. But that is not the same thing as extinguishing native title to land. A beneficial, equitable title, not just to the lands, but the proceeds and revenues therefrom, vest with the inhabitants.
So I don't say I own Kauai. I say I have a piece of the action. Not only me, every Hawaiian in this state, everyone has an undivided interest.
If either the federal or state government or some combination of the two were to make a flat offer of some compensatory cash package, would the Hawaiian people?
No.
No.
Yes. I believe we have...
Complete the question for the record. This would not quiet title, in your opinion.
It would not quiet title.
Thank you.
Recognitions and findings. Under the provisions of Article 20 of the Charter of the Organization of American States, all United States assertions of jurisdiction and property title in the Hawaiian Islands are legally invalid.
Look what's happened. Look around. Look who's running this crazy, crazy, crazy town. And look who's making all the laws. And look who ends up with it all.
1921. Another blessing, they said. They're going to give us some lands. Whose lands? Our lands. They're going to give us our lands?
Experience shows that when the United States passes laws claiming that they are for the benefit of indigenous peoples must run for cover. By 1920, with the passage of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, Kanaka Maoli had learned that the stated help of the United States became nothing less than a vicious and cruel joke.
The sun has been waiting.
Over 20,000 eligible Hawaiians on the waiting list.
Sun has been waiting this turning line.
And I've been on the waiting list for 15 years.
Sun has been waiting.
I waited 39 years.
Son is gonna wait until he dies.
For 72 years, the Hawaiian Homes Commission have done their very best to kill Hawaiians on the Hawaiian Home waiting list. Their ways of killing Hawaiians, they put all kind of policies in.
Only 10% of the approximately 170+ thousand acres that were made available under the Hawaiian Homes Act for homesteading were actually usable for agriculture or for pastoral purposes.
But didn't they tell you that the land they gave us was the shittiest land with no water, that the soil was salt-ridden?
And actually, there's statements in the congressional record. There were certain legislators, congressmen, that got up and said, you know, why are we doing this to these people? These are the most barren and arid lands. They will not be able to sustain themselves.
And who designated the blood quantum? It was Congress. We didn't.
The Congress only provided homestead lands to natives of 50% blood, with the burden being upon the native. If you consider there was never any requirement in the territory, and there is none in the state, that the Department of Health or hospitals record on your birth certificate your blood quantum.
To me, use of blood quantum is a racist criteria, and the right to self-determination includes the right of self-definition.
Yes.
And if people can't define who they are, then it affects their relationship with the land.
Do you see blood quantum and the imposition of such standards as an integral part of ethnocide or genocide being committed against your people?
You know, I would have to say yes, because the effect of the imposition of the blood quantum was to limit to the greatest extent possible the ability of people to access land just for subsistence purposes. What possible reason could there have been for imposing the blood quantum? What possible reason?
Part of the reason that the US government chose to establish the blood quantum was its full knowledge and hope, almost, that the 50% Hawaiian people would very quickly die off, thereby leaving these lands free for white planters. Now, the tragic truth of that is that they didn't even wait for the 50%ers to die off. They just took the land. We found extensive documentation of illegal uses and transfers. The vast bulk of uses were public uses, military uses, county, state, federal uses, with the bulk of general leasing going to non-native Hawaiians.
As you saw in Hilo, from the time you landed at the airport, this outrage and injustice continues to this day. The airport land itself was stolen. The long industrial strip outside the airport, including the seaport and several transnational corporate operations, are on this land.
We have so much land, and yet they say we don't have land. They give it to others that do not belong to them. And they had made a lot of money on the land that was rightfully ours.
The Hawaiian Homes Commission Act of 1920 set aside 11,000 acres of Kamaoa Pueo in this district of Ka'u to be awarded to native Hawaiians. It has been 73 years and only 25 lots have been awarded.
The sun has been waiting.
After 72 years, less than 4,000 Kanaka Maoli families actually live on these lands, using less than 18% of the land.
Son is gonna wait until he dies.
My mother died last year. She never got an award. She died at 72. And I'm 42 now. I'm gonna be waiting again.
Why should we wait until we die? Aloha.